like, well, we're a little crooked and we're going to
It's
work on
alright.
that. We're going to line up this shot so that it's so good. And this is how we start our lives. Because we're live. And, you know,
No one's here.
okay. I won't talk to nobody. That's it.
Hello. Whoa.
Ooh. Ooh.
I forgot that these videos save. Sorry.
Right. I think we can maybe edit this part out, but maybe no.
Even. How's that?
Yeah.
Is it okay?
It's okay.
Okay.
Hi. Welcome. We're hanging out at Ritual Space.
We are hanging out. The co-working space feels a little different because I got rid of a lot of things.
It looks so good. It looks so fresh.
Sometimes you need new energy. Sometimes you just need an energetic rehaul of a space, of a situation.
Yeah.
To let new stuff in.
Especially if you're Jill, and especially if that's part of your magic is making a space.
I love space.
Really awesome. So it needs to be updated and
It
upgraded.
does. You just need to. You just need to do it.
And you did a great job.
Thank you.
So it's worth stopping in because that's how worth it is. I don't know how loud that was on the screen, but it is loud in our reality over here.
It's very cutesy, very demure, but it's always it's going to continue to change. I have big plans.
Always.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing.
When's the last time you cleaned your house, like deep cleaned?
Okay, so
like reorganized, got shit.
My thing is that is actually a really important thing for me to do, and it's really hard because I live with a Capricorn who is very like sterile and can't handle like anything impractical.
Right.
Unless it's like, okay, this spot is for the beauty. That's where you put the beauty right there. But it's not, I can't like flow everywhere. And then also I have 2 dogs that chew everything up. So even if I like combat the Capricorn hurdle, which I can, you know, and we can negotiate it. But once I do that, I have 2 dogs who chew everything and they won't let me have a couch. So have I cried about it? Yes. And am I trying to figure out a way to meet those 2 hurdles? Yes, but we're just in process. So, but it matters. Like it matters to me what my house looks like and if the vibes are right. And I will say to the Capricorn's credit, if it's at least clean, I can be okay. I can have like, I can do life. And that the Capricorn is very willing to do that, which is nice because I can't always, I get overwhelmed and I can't clean. Once it's just like on top, like overwhelming, it takes me a while to work up the oomph to like clean it and then decorate it and then handle it.
Oh yeah. I have a lot of like Taurus and Cancer placements. So the more nostalgic stuff, the better.
To make it a vibe.
I'm very different from James.
Yeah, you are.
Sometimes I have things that don't need to be there, like that very big vase. Like why?
It can,
but it's just like a vibe.
I think he could handle the vase. The rug, this rug though,
he would not.
He could not handle the crocheted rug that's like kind of ruffled up and kind of comes up when you walk on it sometimes.
It's not practical at all.
It's a bit of a hazard.
It's actually
I've tripped on it multiple times.
It's really like one of those rugs that you put on top of another rug so it doesn't slip.
Yeah. But it's a vibe.
Practical.
It's a vibe. It's part of the space.
It's a meditation rug.
It's here. And I don't think it's going anywhere.
Not at all. No. So next time you come into this space, be mindful of crocheted rugs. You will slip, but it's because I want to keep you on your toes.
And it's not near the front door.
No, like it's in the co-working space. Honestly, it should be underneath a chair or something. I'll fix it.
Maybe it should be under.
I don't need the liability, honestly. Or I could just get one of those grippy rugs that go underneath.
Yeah. We have options. I'm not trying to insult your rug. I'm just trying to give an example.
You are not the first, and you will not be the last person to talk to me about my rugs.
Okay.
I hear you all, and I understand.
And
that's where it's at.
Taurus energy.
Thank you.
You'll get there when you get there.
Yeah, and you're right.
You're right, and you'll get there when you get there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's on the list.
So glad we worked through that together.
Together. Together.
Better together. Today,
Today, we're going to talk about your ex.
we're going to learn how to deal with your ex in many different situations.
Yeah. Why are we talking about this, Heather?
Why are we talking about this? Okay, so I'm a psychic, and when I am working, the questions I get like 99% of the time is, when will this person reach out? Will this person reach out? Will this person and I reconcile? Will something about their ex and getting back together? And it is a huge topic for people. And I think that sometimes we can feel like alone in that, or like, I'm going to ask a psychic because I don't want to talk about it because I feel bad in some way. But I think it's a really important question because all of us have gone through that at some point, and it's a really like understandable thing to have to sort through for a lot of reasons. One, our relationships are the first mirrors back to what hurt us when we were children that we need to heal and grow as adults. So that's the main thing. That's like a huge pull. And it's not always even about like chemistry, because you're like, why do I even like this person? They treat me badly. But the pull back to this person sometimes can be because there's something that you're trying to heal and you haven't quite figured out what that is yet. And working with this person will mirror back to you what you need to heal. And you can't escape that because we want to heal and we want to better ourselves. And that almost that pull to your ex, I think it's really helpful to think of it this way. The pull to your ex is the same pull that you have to want to better yourself, to want to better your life, to get into more alignment. And so I think it's like, it doesn't have to be something like a negative thing that people want to get back with their exes, because I think it can be done in ways that are really healthy and beneficial. And at the same time, it can be obviously very toxic and seriously a problem, but that's why I wanted to address it head on. Because so if you're armed with the information of how to know the difference, then it doesn't matter what a psychic says. You could be the one to decide what ends up happening in that relationship.
Yeah.
We have somebody. Hello, welcome. We have a visitor. Hi, how are you? You looking for something?
I'm just looking for the cash bag. Do you know where it is? Yeah. It might be next door. Okay, next door. Double
Alright.
check. Yeah, if
That's
not,
okay,
I'll
you're
find
good.
it for you.
That's
No,
all
it's
right. Bye.
That's what happens.
People are in and out a lot, so
We'll see. We'll see if she finds it. I'm pretty sure it's still next door.
Yeah. So that's why I
Yeah.
thought it would be a good idea to talk about.
Yeah.
Why would you want to talk about it, Joe?
It's fresh.
How so?
Going through a moment in time where I am processing relationships in my life and really wanting to look at the mirror that relationship, specifically one, creates for me. That's really challenging.
Yeah.
And I think it's when things feel unresolved, I think that question is so strong because I think, speak for myself, but I'm sure many other people relate to this too. You want to have peace and healing and resolution, even though there's a boundary.
Yeah.
And knowing you can't do all the work.
Mm-hmm.
You can't control other people either. So I think it's a really honest and natural thing to want to know, like, will I hear from this person? Do they care? Like, did they value this as much as I did? But we are all strong mirrors to each other.
Yeah.
And the good things that we like about ourselves and the shit that we don't want to see, our shadow stuff.
Yeah.
So how can we, I think that question is so powerful, right? When people come, I've had them too. Like, people come to me for tarot readings all the time where you're like, tell me about this relationship. Why is it like this? What's going on?
Yeah.
And it's really a genuine and honest wanting to know and understand. Of course, there are wounds that get activated. I think we all have abandonment wounds and rejection and fear of rejection. I think it's a core of a lot of our stuff in this life.
Yeah.
And it comes from childhood, and it's just kind of played over and over again in different relationships, whether romantic or not, until we can accept it, address it, and then do the work to change it for ourselves.
Yeah.
But I do feel like that question sometimes, and I'm thinking about situations in the past for me, like, but will we get back together? It's like from a place of desperation, right? From a place of lack.
Like you're not enough.
Yeah, like I
On
need
your
to
own.
feel like I'm enough. So please, like, let there be proof that I was enough for this person. When that question itself is
never the reason. I'm gonna go ahead and say never the reason.
Of course,
Yeah.
it's never the reason.
Yeah.
But I think it's a really important question if you ever catch yourself asking that. It's like that is kind of where your healing has to begin.
Yeah.
And you asking this question.
Your
do you know
identity.
what I mean? Yeah,
yourself.
Tied to this relationship. But I think also, like in my current situation, I'm wanting to understand that connection because I want to heal it and move through it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just for peace of mind. But at the same time, I also, for myself, I know, like, I am enough. I'm worthy of having the love that I want. So I have to keep moving toward that, whether someone can join me or not.
Right. So sorting it out. What went right? What went wrong? And it sounds like you're saying, I'm a human being. And if you have an ex, what that means is you cared at one point. Yeah. You cared about somebody. Somebody gave an impression that they cared about you. And where do you go with that? And does that end if you're not talking to that person anymore? Like what happened to the part where we cared about each other? And why couldn't that be the thing that...
Yeah. I think love is a beautiful thing, but it's certainly not enough.
Right.
To form a healthy relationship.
Exactly. Well, and there's a whole slew of compatibility because we're never going to be perfect people. We don't have to heal to the point where it's like, okay, I've healed, so now I can be in a relationship and reward myself with this. Relationships are continually going to mirror back to you things that you need to prune and shift and shape. That is the purpose of relationships. And I almost feel like there would be a lot more clarity in what happens if a relationship doesn't continue, if everybody was super aware that that's the reason for a relationship. It's to improve and
it's to grow.
Yeah. And that's really when you get to that place, that's when a relationship is the most satisfying.
Yeah.
When you're thriving and growing together and you learn each other's patterns and each other's ups and downs, and you negotiate you on your own pattern as a whole complete person, them doing the same thing, and how you interact with each other is genuinely the joy of a relationship at the end of the day and the goal.
And that is all work. You have to be vulnerable to show up in that work. I recognize in myself periods and times in relationships where I wasn't able or willing to show up vulnerably and express myself. And that sabotaged relationships for myself. I've also learned from those things and hoping to show up show up in relationships differently. Different people bring different things out. I don't know.
Yeah. And really, even if that's the issue, more likely than not, that will circle back in a different way. And it might not be as extreme as the previous way, but you'll circle back to this energy just to prove to yourself on like a spirit level that you got this lesson and that you know how to show up differently and that you can shift those cycles and those patterns into or not even into something, but away from that and into more of what you want and the health of the relationship. But I think what you're saying is the idea that it does take work is really interesting because we want the lighthearted fun.
Yeah.
And that happens at the beginning because you're both connecting with the best parts of yourselves. So of course you're compatible in the beginning. You're not getting to the depth where you guys are both assholes, and that eventually happens. Both of you get to that place, and when you're there, what happens? Happens? Because you get there. There is nobody who's not toxic. There is no person who doesn't have parts that need love, that need healing.
Right.
So when you both get there, especially if you're there at the same time, like sometimes it's one person more than the other and the other can kind of stabilize, but sometimes you're both in it. And that negotiating that pattern is a really important part of it. But the initial fun of it all is very misleading because it still feels like really strong. It like hooks you into another person, it pulls you together, it magnetizes you, attracts you in a really strong way. And then at the same time, it gives this idea of like, this is what a relationship should be like. It should be fun without the work. But the truth of the matter is, if that were the case, nobody would like date. Nobody would try to have a relationship. Every relationship would be superficial. The reason why we like do more than date and get into a deeper relationship is because we know that the fun that comes from the other side of the work of I was an asshole, you were an asshole, and we moved through that together. We loved that part about each other and we moved on to a better place and now we're having fun. That kind of fun.
That's depth though.
The depth is so much more meaningful than first date, get to know you kind of fun. Yeah. And I think that's why we don't just date between people on a surface level. I think that's why we try to get to the depth. We see how far we can go with another person. And sometimes that can continue on for a whole lifetime. And sometimes that only can go for a certain amount of time. And it's tricky.
It's a cycle.
It's a cycle, and it's tricky to figure out.
I mean, we learn our greatest lessons through relationships, you know. Yeah. So asking this question of, will I get back with my ex? I think the question underneath that is, why do you want to?
Right. And have you done the work? Have they done the work? And what are you bringing to that? Mm-hmm. Are you willing to look at yourself and then express that? Are they willing to look at themselves deeply and express that? Because the truth is to get to the depth where you're having fun after meeting each other in that place is you both not only have to get self-reflective, you have to get expressive and catch up the other person to where you're at and explain yourself to somebody so that they can learn more about you in a safe space where they're curious about what you have to say about yourself. And they want to love that part of you.
If you let them.
And then it's if you let them, because some people it's like you hit walls and you're like, this was fun, but like now it's not fun. And you have a real sense of like, no more, I'm not doing this anymore. Some people it's real cut and dry. And it's like, I want you to be my ex and I don't want you to come back. Like for sure.
And that's cool.
And that's great. Yeah. And that's probably like I mean, I know in my lifetime, when I felt that way, it's like, I am for sure done. And I am not at all confused about it. And like, if you need me to help you not be confused about it, let me know. I'm happy to just be real direct with you and clear anything up. Right. But it's those moments when we're like, but there was still love to give. I still had love to give. I still had something to learn. I still wanted to receive love from this person specifically. So what happened? These are the questions that need to be answered before somebody can get back with their ex. But I will say, I do think it's possible to get back with an ex in a healthy way because I've done it. And I do think it's possible to get back with an ex in a toxic way. Mm-hmm. So like if I said, so which one of those do you want to answer first? So let me ask this. What do you think would be getting back together in an unhealthy way? What would that maybe look like?
Oh, that would be I feel like getting back together in an unhealthy way would be going back to the same dynamic that wasn't working before and thinking it's going to be better without having hard conversations and meeting each other and being vulnerable and honest about what that experience was like.
And on that note, what I will say about getting back together in a healthy way is it should feel like if you get back together with somebody, it should feel like a whole new relationship.
100%.
Or at least a familiar relationship, but a different one. And in that case, when that happened to me, I didn't like to say I was getting back with somebody because back feels like going backwards.
Yeah.
And so instead I said, we came together and moved forward. And it was a total shift because the relationship was different enough that things had been addressed on our own,
right,
before coming back together, so that it didn't feel like repeating those cycles that were hurtful
Yeah.
to one of us or both of us.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. There's a part of me just reflecting on previous connections that I've had over the years, and like the desire to get back together at some point, especially when I was younger, was, well, who else is out there for me? It's just so based in lack, and like,
yeah,
like this person is safe, they're familiar, they gave me a safe place, even if I felt like I had to play really small. I have this pattern, I'll speak to it, where
Sure,
I previously have really been the only one carrying a relationship, attracted to men who are emotionally unavailable, who show up and do the bare minimum, breadcrumb. And I get emotionally invested. I enable them, coddle men, push the relationship, carry it, and receive nothing. It's an old pattern. But I also see how it has showed itself and mirrored back to me in current ones. And I don't know. It's whether it's an ex, it's going to be someone that's like your ex. That shows up until you, I guess, learn
to shift the
cycle for yourself, and how you show up and choose partners in the future.
Yeah. Because I could see how that particular thing, which it makes sense. I mean, you were saying there's nobody else for me but this person. And I think a lot of times when we feel that strong hook, we think this is my soulmate, this is my forever person, because that's what we want so deeply. So it's like, why wouldn't this be my forever person?
Right.
And the thing is that,
is it love or is it attachment?
Right. And or like, can you be attached and admit that? Can you say, like, this is how much I'm attached? I want this person to be my forever person, and be honest about that, but also curious about and open-minded about how the relationship would go. If not, if there's a sense of like, I need this person, that is 100%. That means you are self-abandoning. For sure. And that's, it's okay. It doesn't make you wrong or bad. It doesn't mean your life will implode, and it doesn't mean the relationship will be over. But what it does mean is that you are outsourcing your self-love to something and somebody else. And the good news is that the prescription for that is self-love. It's good things. It's giving yourself good things. It's being your own good person. And so a lot of times people who are in that situation where they're outsourcing that self-love, they're very sensitive to rejection. And when you're sensitive to rejection, you don't show up authentically. You do the things that you're talking about. You coddle, you placate, you try and give them what they want, what you think they want, and what they want to hear and what they want to see. But you're not actually giving them your real, true, authentic self. And you can go years doing that. Years. So it can be, yeah, me too. It can be a really difficult time. And I do think that is like what a lot of people who are younger do, because I think when you're younger, you're still trying to form your own identity, but we introduce relationships far before we've formed our own identity as our own people.
Yeah. I mean, I would say we form identity through understanding other people. So it would make sense why those dynamics show up.
And that it's a continual thing. Forming our identity is a continual thing, and we shed and release and, step into new things. So that makes sense. But I think that the rejection sensitivity is really important to see, like, if you are really sensitive to rejection, and you're going to feel sad if you get rejected. That's a normal feeling. But if like, even when I'm sad, I got me, you're a lot more brave to do things in a fear. You're more brave to stand up for yourself authentically, saying, no, I actually don't want to do that, or I actually do want to do that, or please come sit down and have a conversation with me. And the other thing is that when that kind of a wound comes up, eventually you'll get to a place where you've learned boundaries. You've learned to preserve yourself. You've learned the self-love. And then you are going to have to open up again and kind of caretake another person. Because in any romantic and loving relationship, you have to do that. You have to take care of each other.
Yeah.
And that will feel scary because taking care of somebody meant you lost yourself. And so then that will be like, okay, you're now building a new toxic cycle unless you can be aware of that and say, it's uncomfortable for me to start taking care of this person now. And you'll have to then say, but I'm brave enough. I got me enough. I'm strong enough that I can say authentically, I want to give you a back rub right now because that will make you happy. And that actually makes me happy in the moment. But you don't fill me, you don't completely me, but I want to give that. And you'll have to find a place where you can and receive, because you can't turn off one and open the other. They're both linked equally.
Yeah. Relationships.
How do you feel about that part? I'm going to ask you, since you're saying like personally, how do you feel about that part where the giving and receiving in a relationship, do you feel like you've calibrated that in a way that makes you feel good?
I think I have an idea
of how
that,
you want that
of how
to
I
be.
want that to be.
Yeah.
And I've had to do a lot of work around this.
Yeah.
Because I, over the past few years, have realized I was not letting anyone give anything to me. I wasn't willing to receive.
Right.
Because I was so guarded from my own experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the healing for me, especially in opening my heart and being vulnerable and like wanting to step into connection, authentic connection,
Mm-hmm.
have a relationship that is mutual, sustainable, healthy.
Mm-hmm.
It's this learning of understanding like you can't hide yourself. You have to let them see you. You can't be so rigid and guarded. If you want love, you have to be open to receiving it.
Mm-hmm.
And then also being willing to give it back. And I think for me recently, like thinking about, I know how I like to give love, but when you're in partnership, you have to also understand how the other person receives it.
Right.
And understand how they give it so you can notice it
Yeah.
when it shows up.
Yeah.
And that's my most recent lesson, I think.
And having that conversation and not expecting somebody to just know that.
Yeah.
I think is one of the more difficult steps in establishing the healthy relationship, because so often there is going to be a person in the relationship who's like, let's talk about it. Let's get in there. Let's sort it out. And then there's going to be somebody else who's like, oh, no. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to get that deep. I don't want to get that introspective. And so there's going to be somebody who's more afraid of that depth and somebody who's like, let's go all the way to the depth quickly. Come on.
Yeah.
And is pushy about it.
Can you meet me there? No, not everyone will meet you there.
Not everyone will meet you there. And not everyone will meet you there under your time frame too.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, well, what I really think is in any healthy relationship and getting back with somebody, I think the most important thing is, are you asking for what you need? And are they asking for what they need? With the goal of I'm a human being with limitations. And how can we meet each other when we can't meet each other? So that might be like, people are in a relationship and one wants commitment really quickly and the other's like, I'm not so sure. That happens a lot. And a lot of relationships end there. It's like, okay, well, if you're not sure about me, well, that's weird. First of all,
like, what is there to not know?
What more information? You saw me.
I feel like we need to acknowledge our Venus and Mars signs.
Yeah,
how they're showing up in our conversation.
Right, and I'm a Leo, so I get that. It's like, and you're
a Taurus,
and you're Mercury, but where's your Leo?
My Mars is in Leo, so like if you're not obsessed with me, what are we doing?
Yeah, waste of time. And also, what more could you need to figure out how wonderful?
Yeah, and why aren't we just rushing into it? That's my Aries Venus.
Right. And then that makes the urgency pop up.
She's my problem child.
Yeah.
Yeah, my Venus Aries.
We love her.
Yeah.
There's room for her here.
Yeah, she's fierce. She's fiercely loving.
But she probably needs a lot of communication and a lot of patience for the people to understand.
Trust and believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's because you have that to give. You can look at somebody and say, well, you're wonderful.
Listen, I'm the person. If you want someone to rush in and love you fiercely forever.
Right. You've got that capacity. And
that's my MO, baby.
I do think that's what a lot of people want at the end of the day. And I think that's why they're afraid of it. A lot of people.
Scares, well, from my personal experience, I think it scares men specifically. I'm terrified.
We love the dudes, but I think it is okay and healthy to say there are patterns with women and men. Yes. And women and men, and I'm saying like, we can even go as far as saying feminine and masculine. Sure. We're working out some wounds between the two. Collectively. Like it's fair that we're here trying to figure this out. And I've heard one thing. I like it made some things make sense for me. I was listening to somebody who's big into spirituality and energy work and is like from like the 70s. This is like an old recording. And they said at some point, the energy of Earth. So this is like very out there, but take it for what you will. Yeah. They said at some point, signals between men and women got scrambled in a little bit. Like our vibration or our wavelengths were tampered with on a cosmic level by something. And I don't know. Okay. Anything. Okay. Because, you know, we're all vibration. It's electromagnetic fields. The earth shifts and moves. And basically it said that between men and women, their vibrations just got off track from each other to the point where it's other. And that they tried to do studies where a woman would say something and they asked the man, what did the woman just say? And they did not get it right significantly. And vice versa. The woman said something and they did not. It was like close, but not exactly what the men said. And I know in my personal life, like there's been so many from my father, just the men in my life to people I've been with. I have had to hone this skill of speaking in a very logical, analytical fashion, even though I am very metaphorical, analogies,
it's a code switching,
loose. Mm-hmm. I've been like trained by the men in my life in order to communicate with them, I have to do it in a certain way. And it's still like, I just have this joke with my husband of like, we have to say something to each other like 2 or 3 times before we understand each other. And it's like, did you take out the trash? It's like, it's not about anything even deep. It's just like logistics through the day. And it's like, oh, we got it on the first try that time. Good job, honey. Like we'll just joke about it because for whatever reason, we miss each other most of the time. And we have to pause and say, huh? What? Like 2 or 3 times in like every dynamic. Like just talk to if you're a woman, talk to the man. If you're a man, talk to the woman. Say anything and see how long it takes for them to like really understand. And then ask them to repeat it back to you. They might not totally exactly repeat back what you said to them. So I think I feel like there's nothing substantiated about that. So all the men in my life are going to take that and throw it in the garbage because I didn't substantiate it, which is fine. But for me personally, I feel like that made a lot of things make sense that we're not on the same wavelength.
Well, that would make sense based off of reflecting on my own experience.
Experientially, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Communication wise, it makes sense. Women are from Mars, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Mm-hmm. That concept, I think there's something there.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of like patience to really try and communicate to a point where it's like, what are you really trying to say? Because not only is it hard to communicate, but it's really hard to hear something when you're triggered. Because what they're saying is going to reflect your trigger more often than not. And so it does require a lot of curiosity and openness to approach the communication there.
And that takes honesty and vulnerability too.
And that's really hard for people.
Very hard.
Because it takes a lot of authenticity and a potential rejection.
Yeah, allowing yourself to be seen and show up fully in a space and risk being rejected while showing up as your full self.
Yeah. And the thing that I come back to with that is every time I've done that with the right person, and I let myself, because there's often times where I'll like start, you did this. This is what you did, and this is, and it made me feel sad. So I'm like still talking about my emotions, but I'm very accusatory. But when I pause for a second and I actually let them see the emotion, the hurt, and maybe shed a tear, or maybe just be like, God, I'm really stressed out right now. And when you did that, it made me feel more stressed because it reminded me of this thing. Every time I've done that with a person that I'm meant to be with, it disarmed the angst and it opened their heart, because then they saw somebody who was vulnerable that they could love and support. And so they were able to come in with that love and support. Or I was able to teach them, like, could you just give me a hug right now? Because this isn't actually about you. This is about me. And what I really need from you is a hug instead of what you just did. And then the person who's willing to move forward with you will try and meet that. I mean, if they have to put down a boundary and be like, I can't give you a hug right now, but because I'm in Wisconsin for whatever reason, then you can negotiate. Okay, when you see me, give me a hug when you see me.
Who's in Wisconsin?
I don't have any badge. I don't know. Maybe somebody watching.
Was that for you?
Maybe somebody watching.
Okay, so you do readings on TikTok?
I do. I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So people submit questions to you, and then you're going live and you're reading them.
Yes, I go live, and I get a lot of questions, and most of them are something about this concept.
And what do you answer them?
Yeah, as many as I can. I can't always get to everybody, but yes.
Okay, and are you finding that that's a good idea for the collective to get back with their ex based off of what you connect with?
You know, more often, I would say my answer is yes, you can get back. But my answer is also usually you are going to have to take some steps to make that happen. Don't expect them to come to you without that. Because I think that's like kind of the energy of like getting saved by somebody, is like, are they going to come back and save me from my sadness? Because they made you sad. So can they come back and make me happy again? That's kind of the mentality, I think. But really what it does, and when I've gotten back with somebody and it was a healthy thing, I took on the responsibility of, I want this to happen. And so because I want it to happen, I'm going to see where this person's at and open up a conversation, because this person might not be willing, but I need to know in order for me to move on. And so to move through that energy. So I was the one that said, where are you at? And then luckily all the green lights were there to move forward in a better situation. But I think a lot of times when people are saying, is my ex going to come back? It's like they treated me like trash. They suck. Are they going to get back on their knees and grovel and beg for their place? And it's like,
interesting.
If you're already there, you actually don't really like that person.
Yeah. That's like an ego thing.
You don't really respect that person. If you're saying, are they going to come fix their mistake? Because I deserve them to fix the mistake, you know? And I'm a Leo, so I totally get that.
I mean,
it's like, why would you even make that mistake in the first place? Hello. But it's because we take it personally, and it's not always personal. It could be because it's always because there's something going on with them. When we hurt people. So when we treat people poorly, it's because we're in a place of hurt and we don't totally get what's going on. And that doesn't give people an excuse to continue hurting you and for you to allow that. But what it does is kind of maybe give you like some respect for a human journey. And if you can get to a place where you're like, I don't know where you were when we ended things, where are you now? And kind of gauge, have they done some of that internal work and where they're at in their openness to get together? And then there could be a coming together that feels really good.
Yeah. It's so, I don't know. It's such a challenging, vulnerable thing to do. But I guess you have to do it in order to move forward sometimes.
Exactly. And it's kind of like some of the reasons why it's difficult is the emotional charge mixed with the power dynamics, mixed with the childhood trauma. I meant to say trauma.
Child drama.
Child drama and drama. Trauma and drama.
Trauma is drama?
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know.
For sure.
I think, relationships are so hard. And I have clients that see me to talk about relationships and how to attract them, how to show up in their current relationships and work through things, right? Like, again, we're all powerful mirrors to each other. And I help people understand, like, we all learn differently. So how we perceive the world is so unique, like each individual perception, but we all kind of fall into this spectrum. And I've talked about this spectrum before, this EMP spectrum, but understanding patterns that we have or dynamics that we feel in relationships and how they interact with each other. Because I think rejection, the fear of rejection and abandonment wounds, we all have it. We all carry it to some extent.
Yeah.
But we also all respond differently to it, especially if we're in conflict. Let's say that we're dating. We're together. We're a couple. Hey, babe.
Hey.
And I am the person in the relationship that's always checking in. Like, what are you feeling? How are you feeling? Right.
Fine. I feel fine. Why do you keep asking? I'm fine.
Okay.
I feel fine.
Yeah. Clearly you're avoiding. You're avoidant. There is this person in a relationship, the dynamic there, right? Someone is being, I don't know what I'm trying to describe other than when we're in relationships, we're challenged, right? We have to continuously choose to meet each other in a moment, right? To meet each other authentically.
I want to play out that and see where it can get to if we try to do it healthy.
Okay.
I like that role-playing idea.
Okay.
Because I think that's what you're going with it, right? It's to see, like, we need to meet each other.
Yes.
In order to move forward.
And also understanding patterns that come up in response. So when there's conflict or tension, someone who is the one that tends to nurture and care for the relationship will reach out and go above and beyond because you're in a relationship with me, you are my priority. My relationships are my priority. That is one person typically in a relationship dynamic. And then the other partner is
I give so much of myself. I'm afraid of losing myself and you're just smothering me and I can't be on my own.
Right. And so what's your response then to
shut down?
Me reaching out.
Is shut down.
Yeah.
So play it out again and we'll play it out and we'll try to take it to like a healthy place.
Okay.
But we'll start off not healthy and then we'll get to healthy. Okay. Totally minding my own business.
Hey, babe.
Hey.
Oh no, what's that?
Well, what do you want? What's going on?
I'm wondering, I'm feeling the vibes off. What's
Nothing. Vibes off. The vibes fine. I mean, I'm tired.
You're tired.
I'm tired. Yeah. So.
Yeah. But can you help me understand more? Because I feel like, I don't know. I'm
understand why I'm tired. You want to understand why I'm tired? Oh, I didn't sleep well last night. So.
Right. Okay. Well, what do you need right now? Because I need something right now, and I don't feel like I'm receiving it. I need you to be present in this conversation with me because I want to talk to you. I feel like there's tension here.
Tension?
Yeah.
Why? Why do you think there's tension if I'm saying there's nothing wrong? Why don't you just trust what I'm saying?
Because what you're saying, I understand what you're saying, but also the vibe is that there's something else wrong.
The vibe.
Yeah, the energy. Because I want, what I need right now is for you to be present and open with me about how you're feeling and why. But I don't feel like you're saying the whole thing. And I feel tension. And now I'm like worried because I'm anxious that maybe it's me. And I need you.
You're doing so good.
And I need you to create space for me right now.
Okay, that's a lot. All right. I'm going to think about it. I'm going to go take a shower and relax for a minute and recharge, and then we can talk about it when I get out of the shower. Sound good? Okay. Time passes and people sort themselves out. And in that time passing, what are you going to do?
Allow you to come to me.
Okay. And probably you're feeling
anxious.
So you're also going to
reach out to you.
No.
Wait.
What are you going to do for yourself while I'm taking the shower?
Take care of my anxiety.
Yeah.
Focus on something that helps me not think about you.
Focus on yourself. Yes. And it's basically impossible, but there are strategies you can do. It's not impossible. It is possible. Like what are some strategies that you would do like while the person's gone?
Yeah, just focus on the relationships that fill me up. Usually the partner in the relationship that is more focused on the dynamic and the feel and the energy and the relationships being the priority. You have to focus on other relationships that are giving you what you need rather than the partnership that is not.
So you might call a friend.
Yeah, call a friend.
Maybe some breathing exercises.
Absolutely.
Maybe some journaling.
For sure.
Maybe some tapping. Mm-hmm. Some really positive walk. Get in your body, movement.
Get really clear on what you want to bring up in the conversation. So it's not coming from a dysregulated place.
Okay, so now let's say the person relaxed. You're sitting there and they come in and then say, okay, I feel more restful. What is it that you wanted to talk about?
Thanks for coming back into this conversation.
You're welcome. You're doing so great. That's me. I'm not being in character. Let me get back in character.
I feel disconnected from you, and it's impacting me, and I just want to understand how you're feeling, what you're doing, because I care about how you feel in this dynamic. And so when I don't understand how you're feeling, if you're not communicating in a way that I understand, I get anxious, and I feel like I'm being rejected, and that's why I reach out, and I maybe overstimulate you, but it's just because I need relief. But I also understand that you need time to process. So thank you for coming back. Thank you for sitting here with me, and I'd like to understand. Are you feeling distance from me?
So, and then side note, what I would say is this person might take like 30 seconds to respond to all that because there was a lot that you said there. And my just little dialed in request is instead of are you feeling distant, that's going to feel like a no for that person. Ask a more open-ended, this is what I'm feeling, what are you feeling? Try to ask a more open-ended thing with curiosity.
What are you feeling?
Okay, good job. And really, when you do that, you create a safe space for them to say something like, I have been feeling stressed. I have been feeling tired. And I don't like it when you assume that there's something wrong before I even know that there's something wrong with me. It's like you're trying to say something's wrong when nothing's actually wrong at the end of the day. And then it creates a problem that wasn't there to begin with. Mm-hmm. And that frustrates me because I don't want there to be a problem. But I am feeling stressed out. So this is a lot more validation than maybe somebody would say. But at the end of the conversation, they would say, so what is it that you're needing from me specifically in order to not feel distance and in order to feel like everything's okay? What action do you need from me? Because I'm not feeling what you're feeling. So now the ball's back in your court, and you have to think of something very specific, because it's very easy to be like, I want you to satisfy me, and make it very general. But now this is the part where you have to authentically ask for what you need, very directly and simply, and then be quiet. So go, try.
Trying to think of what I need.
What specifically would you need in this situation? You've seen somebody like they've had a scowl on their face all day because they're tired and they're stressed. That's how they've been going through the day.
Right. I need you. I need. How do I want to answer it? How do I want to phrase this?
It's tricky because you have to keep it very behavioral focused, because they don't like it when you're assuming what they're feeling.
Right.
So what are the behaviors you're seeing, and what do you want to see instead?
When you come home from work and you're stressed, you carry that stress and you hold on to it. But when you're home with me, I want to feel present with you and enjoy you, or at least understand the stress that you're experiencing.
And what could I do behaviorally that will help you feel that way? Because I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it right for you. I'm not figuring it out. And it makes me feel like a failure, but I'm working through that on my own. And I'm trying to ask you specifically what you want from me in order to feel better.
I'd like a check-in when you get home from work, when we get home, when we're to home together, a check-in of our day. So you can tell me how your day is going and I can share it with you in a way that we're both present and listening to each other.
Really good, specific thing. Now, if they say something like, how long do you want this check-in to be? What would be, which doesn't sound great, but sometimes
I would go, well, never mind.
but so that would be hard, because you just were vulnerable and asked for what you needed. And if you're not met with like, and of course, send it to you on angel's wings, then that's going to feel like an insult. But what is happening is they're negotiating their own feelings. Because when I come home from work, the last thing I want to do is talk about things. So they're about to set a boundary if they're a healthy person. But first, they're probably going to have a little like, okay, because they're going to have to do something that they don't do naturally, that you do naturally, but they don't do naturally, because maybe they're not good at expressing, or maybe their mother punished them for talking about their feelings when they were 3 and maybe 4 and 5. And so now they've learned, if I talk about my feelings, I get in trouble. So now I have to totally rewire my entire brain. And that feels like a freaking ton of work.
Yeah.
But this person I love is asking me to do it. So even though I'm like, oh, and I have an emotion about it, that doesn't mean I'm not willing to do the thing.
Right.
And I'll work through my emotion. And that's the kind of this person's job, is to let them have their emotions and still hold true regardless of that reaction. So let's say they get a little deflated. Okay, how long would you need to do something like that? What could you say? Be authentic, be honest, but also stay present with the person who's trying to sort out a lot of stuff, right? That's a lot of stuff to sort out in the moment.
I don't even know, because instantly I'm like, well, huh.
Yeah, that's a fair response.
That's not what you want to do.
I'm out of here.
No, I think, I would want to, what that really is for me underneath that check-in is an action step for you. However, what I really want is to feel like I have genuine connection with you, where we're exchanging a positive emotional experience. Like, we can enjoy each other. So when I see you shut down, I don't feel like I have access to you to do that. So I also need to understand from you, what does that look like for you?
Well, what I need from you is to believe that I want the same things. Okay. And that if you're not experiencing that from me, it's not intentional on my part. I'm getting it wrong. I can understand that, but I need a very clear map of how to get it right so you can get what you need. And so while I'm frustrated mainly at myself for not already knowing what you need and giving that to you because I want to be good. I want to get it right. And that's mainly what I'm frustrated with right now. I need to know how long, like what's a good time frame for us to have those positive interactions, because I'm already saying I'm willing to do that with you, even if it's not happening right this moment. I'm willing to do what I need to do to get there, right? But I need to know specifically what you want so I can make sure it can happen, because I do care about you. You're not going to get all this from that person. No. But that's what's going on. Is it 5 minutes? Is it 10 minutes? Are we 30 minutes? Is this an hour thing? How long would you feel like a positive interaction where we're sharing our day? How long would that take for you?
I'll take 5 minutes.
Okay, 5-minute check-in every day. So then that person has to measure out their capacity for the entire day. And they have to sort through that. And so that might look to you like they're being quiet and just shut down. And in that moment, breathe and pause and give them a minute. Maybe notice what's cute about it. Maybe our eyebrows do things that's cute. Just what's cute about it. They're figuring it out. And then maybe they'll say something like, which is really healthy if this person can get to this place, something like, I can't do it right when I get home. I'm going to need like 30 minutes to take a shower or work out or do something like that. But by 7:00 every night, I will sit down with you, or they'll figure out a time and we'll talk for at least 5 minutes and we'll share the day and I'll make it positive. But if I can have that 30 minutes first when I get home, like I'm going to come home, I'm going to give you a kiss, I'm going to say hello, of course, but then I can give you that 5 minutes afterwards. And can we like start there?
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Thanks for meeting me there.
Yeah. You're welcome. And in that conversation, that probably won't be the full house moment that you're probably really wanting. It's like, okay, so let's hug. We're happy now. Let's hug and move on and everything. But they have just like sorted through a lot of emotions that have been like from childhood, and they're not responding to that in the same way that you would respond to that, because you might do it quickly. But this person might be like, I need some time to like go relax again. Like they had to relax before, they're going to have to relax after. Even if they're like, I'll give you a hug, it's not going to be like the hug you want it to be, you know? And it's really easy to take that personally and say, how dare you not want to hug me right now? We're an amazing couple and we're so healthy and we just talked that through. Let's celebrate. They're not there yet. And they might take longer to celebrate. And in that moment, it's important for us to not take it personally and to allow that to kind of unfold.
Yeah, I think understanding your partner's patterns is important to create safe containers like that. It has to be mutual. And so when it's not, then we have to end things.
When what's not mutual?
Like when people don't want to have that mutual shared space to show up and have that kind of understanding.
Right. And honestly,
that's not where relationships thrive.
Yeah. And honestly, it might look like in this scenario, in this exchange, both of us have done a lot of work. You've done something to pare down what you asked. So you used a lot more words than I did for the most part when you were explaining how you feel. And I wanted to get cut and dry to the point. But in the past, maybe you never do this and you never do that, and I'm crying and I'm on the floor and I'm rolling around in white, because you're in a big emotion, right? But you might have been able to say, okay, I'm going to try and calm my emotion and this is what's going to come out. The other person might have done some work in just sitting there and having that conversation, because just sitting there is terrifying for that person. To somebody's unhappy with me, why would I sit and listen to somebody who's unhappy with me? Who's going to listen to every single word I say and try to use it against themselves, because the person is usually listening for like, how are you mistreating me here? Mm-hmm. And I'm so done. How dare you? And leave.
Oh yeah.
Right. And those are like really reinforced patterns in a lot of people's
a dynamic like mine. My biggest fear is being rejected. So even if my partner were to be like, well, how long do you want this chat? I'd be like, I want it to be this long and I want you to fucking enjoy it. Like, yeah. Do you not want to? Right. And so it triggers a rejection. That's how
Yeah.
I would perceive it.
Yeah.
Now, a partner who is a little bit more intellectual, a little bit more detached from maybe a physical emotional experience, they're thinking and processing about their emotions and how they want to respond. Their biggest fear is lack of clarity and control and security.
Yes.
And so for me to be like, no, please tell me what's wrong, and then they're confused.
Yeah.
Because they're usually someone in your dynamic that you outlined, their priority is themselves, their schedule, their job, their career, their hobbies, what they got going on. That's not good or bad. It's just it's an experience. It's a priority.
It's actually really kind, because for them, they're like, this is important. I want to make sure I have the energy to do this well.
Yeah.
And they want to do things well. And so they're very careful about how they do things, and they're not going to be like messy about it. They're going to be very tidy about how they do things.
And I would say this kind of dynamic plays out in most couples that I've ever talked to, or even in my own personal experience, because in a sense it can be, I don't want to say necessarily the word complementary, but it's what's the fucking word?
I mean,
we'll say complementary.
Yeah,
because
it works. It's
like
combined.
Right. It can balance a dynamic out when you can meet in the middle and compromise. But it also can be the biggest trigger is when you pull away because you need space to process your emotions. I feel rejected. And so then I cause a scene or I leave.
And then I feel unsafe to meet you again.
Exactly. Push-pull dynamics.
I think going through that is a really helpful thing. Like the way we just went through that. Because I think you're right. I think that's a very, very common pattern that most relationships have not found their way through that pattern yet.
Yeah. Regardless of gender and sex too.
Yes,
like it's
absolutely.
It's even in friendships and family dynamics.
Yes.
Like I see it too. Now, if you're in an experience where you have two people who are like me, it can be a little codependent.
It could be the dynamics can be like reversed sometimes too. And sometimes they're not as cut and dry as what we were showing.
And also you can like show up, even if I prioritize my relationships maybe over my own stuff.
Well, that is how you prioritize yourself, is your relationships.
Sure. Yeah. That's my priority. If I'm with somebody who has a greater need, I have to then step into a different role to balance it out. And that can also feel like out of alignment with how
that can be hard because you're having the emotion. So what that means is you have to set aside your emotion or put it here for a minute so you can teach somebody how to meet you here. And that takes a lot of inner parenting of saying like, okay, emotion, you matter, you're valid, I love you, I'm going to get what you need. I do need you to sit here for a second because I have to handle this and I'm going to bring this to you. And this is so urgent. It needs to happen right this second, right now. And an inner parent has to say, I know what this looks like. I know this is hard, but it doesn't mean you can't have what you want here. I just need you to sit here so that I can teach this person in the way that they understand things, how to get here. And that is one of the hardest parts to get to. That takes a lot of inner work and a lot of inner healing.
Yeah. And I would say if you have a couple or dynamic where both people are intellectualizing their emotional experience, they can just become avoidant. And it's basically two individuals in a relationship.
Right.
Because unless someone who is willing to step up and step into it.
And a lot of times that happens is because somebody who's very anxious and emotional is not ever getting any headway. And so they give up.
Yeah.
And so then there's this like empty dynamic that's just not sustainable.
No.
Neither dynamic is sustainable until you move through it into a healthy place.
Yeah. And any of these dynamics can be true for any relationship, current or previous. And they can all work and they can all maybe
be
not
healthy.
Work. Yeah. Exactly. Like it's not right or wrong or there's no such fucking thing as a perfect relationship.
We're all figuring it out. We're sorting our ways.
Love is easy. People are complicated.
There you go. And so
multifaceted.
Will your ex come back?
Maybe. And if they do
you
how do you respond?
in the first place? And secondly, under what conditions do they come back?
Yeah. And like what opportunities that offer you if it does.
Yeah. And have you done the work? Have they done inner work? And do you always realize that there's always going to be more work to do? Because that's what we're here for.
If you're trying to get your ex to come back to you, just do some magic. Just kidding.
Just light a candle.
Be your best self. I feel like if you focus on your abundance, your self-worth, and you just keep your vibe high, like pretty good chance they're gonna come back around.
Right. It really neutralizes it.
Not by you waiting for them.
Right. When you are in a vibration of meeting your needs as best as you can and enjoying, like really taking pleasure in the small things, you're creating a vibration where anything can happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So best thing to do to get your ex back is to move on.
Right. Yeah. And then your ex might come back in the form of a different person that you have to repeat that dynamic in, but maybe you'll do it better or more healthy or more thoroughly this time.
Yeah.
Show up a little differently.
Mm-hmm.
Or just light something on fire and throw it through a window.
I mean,
try
it
that
just
one.
Really depends.
Try that one.
It really depends.
Please don't try that. We're not going to advocate arson.
No, we are advocating for healthy relationships and clear, healthy boundaries on what we will and will not accept.
Yes. Yes.
Based off of what we've learned from past experiences.
We're all in this together.
Good luck out there.
All right. I feel like that was helpful.
Yes. Good job.
High five to us.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for being here.
If you want support in understanding your relationship or your situation, Heather is an amazing intuitive and psychic. Tap into that energy, real good for you. She's supported me in many, many ways. Also, if you're interested in learning about your own behavioral patterns and breaking through to cultivate healthy patterns in yourself, hit me up. My books are open for hypnotherapy sessions at Ritual Wellness Space.
Do it.
Have a delicious Wednesday.
Relationship and delicious new relationship.
Skirt. Okay.
Bye.